Okay, the 2021 school year, welcome. We certainly hope that you all have had a great kickoff to the school year. And we want to let you know everything we know so far. We're going to give you the big picture and drill down into what you need to be thinking about first. The biggest picture is that the reason we do all this reporting is because the state education department tells us we have to. They also are doing, making these mandates and requirements based either on local reporting and how funding is, distributed to schools and, verification of the use of that and the education of our students and whatnot across the state, but also because of federal rules. And I'm going to reference a couple of federal pieces throughout this. The school report card is available at data.niced.gov. And if you are new to the project, welcome. It's great to see some familiar names and new names. We look forward to working with you. We have been hired by the New York City Department of Education to provide you with technical support and the software, which we call, well, the state has titled Level 0, is kind of the entry into the data warehouse. All of our services to you and your school are free. We, Eastern Suffolk BOCES is an acronym for Board of Cooperative Educational Services. We are a school also and are fully responsible for being Ed Law 2D compliant for all data privacy and security. So every once in a while, we'll get on our soapbox and give you reminders to how to keep things safe. But, we are also, we're doing everything we can to ensure that in everything we do. I want to let's think about that data flow. Actually, every time you are doing any work in the city's ATS system or in CSIS, I know that that's a particular program for special education services in the DOE within your schools. That data actually goes directly into the city system and is reported for you. There's no additional work for you to do for certain pieces of data that you are reporting probably every day, especially when students are enrolling or exiting your school. Level 0, these things are kind of on the same line. This is where data gets into the data warehouse. Level 0, we get some information from the Department of Education. They let us know, the name of your school, your important state education codes, how the state knows you, and also enrollment, which students are at your school, and demographic, basic information about who are the students at your school. Then Eastern Suffolk BOCES and New York State Department of Education, we are both level 1 data warehouses, which means that we are responsible for help collecting data from a bunch of different schools. The city probably has the largest number of all. Eastern Suffolk BOCES is the primary contact for 71 schools, mostly on the east end of Long Island, and the city of Syracuse has hired us to do their data warehousing. And then the next level is level 2, the New York State Education Department. Through all of these systems, your data is recorded to the student and staff level. It's attached to student IDs and teacher IDs and names, and all of these systems will show personally identifiable information, and that's why it's very important that we keep them all safe. As I mentioned, New York City and Eastern Suffolk BOCES are data warehouses, level 1 of the data warehouse. There are at least 15 of us across the state. And we both report data directly to the state education department. But for New York City and all of your charter schools, the Department of Education is your regional information center. If you're reading something in the SIRS manual, which SIRS, I'll show you a glimpse of that in a moment, Student Information Repository System, that's the official name of the data warehouse. In there, and it says contact your RIC. For the most part, they're talking about New York City Department of Education. When something comes up and actually there are references in the SIRS manual also in the annual reporting timeline and whatnot, where you will see a reference that says, for certain pieces, call Eastern Suffolk BOCES. We work hand in hand, but like I said, the city owns your data. They give us basic information, we collect additional information, and we pass it to the city, and they pass it to the state. For Eastern Suffolk BOCES, all the schools on the east end of Long Island and Syracuse, we grab the data and we pass it straight to the state. But the two of us work in a nice combination together. Wrong direction. Let's see, next slide. L2RPT is an abbreviation for the level 2 reporting. It's actually IBM Cognos software. And that's really where you get to see your data and you get to verify your data. Throughout the year, as soon as the data warehouse opens, and the opening this year is on the 27th of September, that's when all of the RICs will start loading data to the state. Immediately, whatever reports they have will start populating in ELK2RPT, and you'll be able to view those on that first Monday. I think it's the 4th of October. The data that's going to go up first is stuff from ATS, probably all the demographics and enrollment information. I don't know program facts, like who's special education, who's homeless, who's a child of someone in the military. Information is added all the time, but in the beginning, it's that basic stuff. The data that's reported is also posted publicly regarding federal or local requirements at data.nysed.gov. And that's where they have what's called the New York State School Report Card. And that was actually the view I showed you on the first screen, where they told you that there's I think that was the 1920 school year, there was almost 2.6 million students, over 200,000 teachers across the state. If you look to a particular school, you'll see the exact number of teachers and students reported in the SIRS, Student Information Reporting System, or the data warehouse for your individual school. Again, I think I didn't fail to answer or finish the sentence earlier. If you are new, go look at your school's report card. If you are a brand new school, look at a neighbor's, maybe look at your alma mater. Maybe just look at the statewide report card. That's where you go when you first tap on that. Or you can look at the city's report card. But you want to get familiar with what information is out there about your school, because you are now welcome, you are now a part of reporting this data to the state education department. The first deadline to come up is regarding the verification of all data from the 2021 school year. Your charter leader, and actually only the leader will see this information, a sign off on the business portal for the state education department's website, where they have to say whether or not your data for the entire year is accurate, or maybe you can't certify it as accurate. This document we're looking at here is a 4-page document. There's actually a 5th grade with some charts on it that gives you more details about their abbreviations. But they literally expect, and actually there's a list here specific to charter schools, that if you're a charter school, you're going to go log into L2RPT and review in the accountability folder your high school achievement and graduation rate. Okay, so if you're a K-8 building, K-3, whatever, you're not a high school, then that's not one you have to look at. And then vice versa. The next report, the 106, is regarding elementary, middle, a high school. If someone's just a high school, they wouldn't have to look at that. But they lay out for you everything. They literally expect you to go review it. And then the certification your CEO needs to complete will say, is the data accurate or not? If ever you don't agree with something, you want to call the state and appeal a decision or a rating or something like that, the first question they will ask you is, how did you certify your data, whether or not it was accurate or not? And they will work with you the best that they can. And I know that this absolutely happens. Whenever you are in L2RPT, in the lower right-hand corner, there's actually a hyperlink to come out to the state's website to view specifically the details about the report you're reviewing. And this is very nice because it'll actually tell you where the calculations came up, where it came from, where the data was sourced from. Very, very helpful. This is the SIRS manual. It's our annual Bible. I'm sorry, I went to Catholic school. I might make crazy references sometimes, but the SIRS manual tells us everything that needs to be done throughout the year. This was just published on September 1st. It's 289 pages. Last year it was 287 pages, so they've got some new stuff in there. You don't necessarily have to read this. We dog ear it literally, or electronically, I should say. And if you ask us a question, we will gladly research it for you and get back to you as soon as we can. We will frequently give you maybe a paragraph and a link to the SIRS manual, or if necessary, we're going to tell you who you need to contact next to help keep you up and running. That literally is our goal. We know that this work is hard. It's very tedious and technical sometimes. So we want to keep you up and running. If you find yourself frustrated, just call us. Don't let your frustration go more than maybe 5 minutes of trying to solve something. Call us, we'll help you out. Right here is a copy of this came out on August 10th of this year. And then this is the annual SIRS reporting memo. This gives you all sorts of information about what needs to be reported this year and, helping you to get started. This memo comes out with the second document that you see now, the annual deadlines. These are highlights of what is due. We take this document and we add a lot of detail. And this is what we've started this. Actually, I personally started this, but haven't finished it yet. We will send it out on the C Weekly next week to show you specifically, as the state has these targets, where you see blue lines is when there's information from where information is being reported through Eastern Suffolk BOCES. And we literally lay out each template, the type of data that needs to be reported, whether it's your day calendar, your student attendance, staff information. We put that in there very specifically and tell you that we think you should start this in this month. And as you can see there, there's already a couple for October. On this particular line at the top, the state has noted that BEDS Day, BEDS stands for the Basic Educational Data System, another way of really kind of referring to the data warehouse. And BEDS Day each year is the first Wednesday in October. This year, that will be October 6th. And the beauty of this, knowing it, is that there's actually nothing you have to do on that specific day. This day is used as the standard. All schools will use the same day in the school year to report data on your building. They just have to pick one day because, as we know, it's a moving target. Kids are always moving in and out. So they just take that snapshot of the data. The reason it's not earlier in September is because they know that students are transferring in and out. Like, you might be taking attendance for a student at your school today and marking them absent. And then you might find out in ATS on Monday that they transferred to a different school. Or you're going to get a letter from a school or fax maybe out of the state, out of the region, out of the country, and now you're going to go change ATS and make sure that that student is dropped from your school. It's very important. Again, all the enrollment information and whatnot comes from ATS. Erin Cochran, I've heard her say in a training one time, to keep up good ATS hygiene. We definitely want to reinforce that with you. Frequently we get questions and we have to refer you back to, what's an ATS. You will be able to see, those enrollments, but our data is not live. If you need to know exactly who's in your school today, you do need to log into ATS or contact the person at your school who's responsible for ATS. BEDS Day data is going to be used by the state right away in January. That's they warn you on this document that in January, they're going to pull the data. The data then is used to build their budget for the 22-23 school year, right? They have to start building that budget. They also look at, so they budgeted, they did this last January, and they budgeted money for the current school year. Then they look and they say, okay, where else students, or where do we owe schools money for the services they're giving students in different categories? And that's how they disperse it. So accurate information is very important in your enrollment. And then of course, all the other data we report. We also add details over here on the right to show you if it's not collected by ES BOCES, then who can you contact for that information? This is a view of the CEDREF screen on the State Education Department's website. CEDREF stands for the State Education Department's reference file. It's actually R small e capital F. The right here is where, and this is public information. It just tells a list of the schools in the state, their basic information, and important contact information. And I'll show you that in a second. The easiest way to find something is to use the % signs as wildcards. If you have if you know your school's exact title, how it is listed in state ed, it might not be the acronym that you use on your website or something like that, then you'll find that very easy. The easiest way to make sure that you absolutely find the correct school when you're searching it is to use your BEDS code. As I mentioned before, BEDS is that basic education data system, right? But crazy enough, I know SED is busy, but they also have a secondary name for that, which is the State Education Department's code. So if you see those two, it's really the exact same number. It starts with it's about like 11 digits and it starts with a 3. That's the best I can tell you. Right here, I searched for the Chancellor's Office for the New York City Department of Education. And this is, just it's highlights. It tells you who your authorizer is. It tells you information about the school, when the school was established, some contact information. It actually even has your latitude and longitudinal position. It's very interesting what they have out here. A little lower on that same screen, you can look at the important contacts at your school. We want to highlight this because for you to get access to L2RPT, the access is given automatically to whomever is your chief executive officer. And that person has the ability to create accounts for others. If you're at a network of schools, it may be that your CEO has given that someone else the ability to also create accounts. And that would be the person you need to contact if you need to help them to verify data in L2RPT, which is definitely recommended. They have, it's not listed here exactly. They would normally collect information about, like, I think Director of Ops might be out there, or else if someone in the title of Director of Ops is responsible for some of these other key positions according to state ed's concerns, then that you can put the exact title over here. Maintaining this list is very important. If the state needs to contact schools to say, hey, we just put some information on the website, you need to go check it. There's been an embargoed release of graduation rates. That means that you guys can see it. It's about to go public to the newspapers with a press release, and you can log in and see it. When they announce these things, they're going to send an email to your school. They're always going to tag the CEO. And if you are listed as a data coordinator, then you'll also get that email. If you're not exactly the data coordinator, but are responsible for some things, this particular topic right here, additional contact, that title rather, that allows someone to receive all of the emails that your CEO gets. So if you're at a larger network and you want to make sure that you're watching everything locally, I would definitely want to have someone listed as that additional contact at your building. On our website is information actually in this week's C Weekly. I didn't notice that came out yet for this week, but we did put information on how to update that. This is another view again. So if you need access to L2RPT to help with that data certification, then looking on CEDRUP to see who has that power to dole it out would be helpful. And this particular screen, I'm just pointing out that you want to keep an eye on your what's required of charter schools. And then there's additional information about how important it is or how it's being used. Level 3 of the data warehouse, we don't talk about them all that often because you don't go out there to verify data. We do that at the state level, but they're also very important. Like I said, funding sources is from the U.S. Department of Education. They are, it used to be every 10 years and it went to 5, then it went to alternate years. They conduct a particular survey directly to your school. So I can give you links to their website. I actually have completed this personally in the past, but I don't know what's on it and I can't log into any of their systems to give you exact assistance with it. But the CRDC is the Civil Rights Data Collection. It was supposed to happen. It should have been reported, I guess, this past year based on the 1920 school year. That was the year it was tagged to run. But because of COVID and everyone just running home in May of 2020, they stalled it off for a year. So someone at your school has probably already received an email from the U.S. Department of Education saying, hey, who's going to be your contact person? Give us an email. We're just warning you this report is coming up. Just last week, they announced that they're going to be doing this CRDC report for the next 2 years. So you're going to complete it. It really happens in the spring of 2022 regarding the 2021 school year. And then all the data that you're reporting this year, keeping track of, violent incidences. So some of this stuff is like what you report in other places for the New York State Department of Education, but they also need it at the federal level. It's going to be going to happen 2 years in a row because they are definitely concerned about learning that's been lost over this time, digital equity to resources to be able to attend schools online and whatnot. So keep an eye out for that one. Hate to be the bearer of that news, but here is our website. Please take note of that, make us your favorite. Whenever we are having any kind of modified schedule in a given week, you will see that at the top of the screen. In July, when we're gearing up to get that final data in before the data warehouse closes for the year, you will see extended hours. Those hours, if you close is red. If we close early, it's going to be yellow. And if we are open late, it's going to be green. In July, we're frequently here from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., to help you out, to make sure if you need help in the final deadline, we're here for you. Important announcements will always be in this section. This is a view from the other day where you can quickly access the memo in that timeline that I showed you. Again, the annotated notes are still in development. Watch the C Weekly next week to get it. Oh, do you get the C Weekly? The C Weekly is managed by the charter school office at the Department of Education. And this first link on our website is actually for their Mojo help desk. Just send them an email, let them know that you would like to be added to the C Weekly distribution list, and you'll start receiving those emails too. We got a lot of great stuff on the side and on the website, so I'm just going to give you a quick tour of that. Let's see. First of all, I'm going to show you the quick links. Again, there's the charter school office. We have for virtually for every template, we have some kind of YouTube channel video, and we're making one right now. We have quick links to that SIRS manual. We have information about CEDREF right here, and just great stuff. CEDOS entitlements, this is the form that you might need. I used to sit with my superintendent as I look for this on the screen and that, and tap here to get me into LTARPT for that school. The secure section of our website helps you get to all of the different software systems that we use. So level 0 is where you get data into the data warehouse, just like when you're reporting information in ATS or CSIS. ReportNet is our level 1 of the data warehouse. We will, whenever possible, if you need help creating a report, we will save you keystrokes. We will give you names of your teachers from last year to re-enter this year, or your students, to be able to report who is in Regents exemptions is something we're going to be reporting, collecting as soon as the data warehouse opens for 2021. We've got a link here to the State Ed Business Portal. L2RPT, this is where you'll find your city data. As you know, but all level 1 data warehouses, we saw on a previous screen, stand out the L2RPT and provide access for their local schools. So be sure you use that link and not the one on our website, when you're in a Eastern Suffolk BOCES software system. Turbo meetings is just another way to talk to you quick and give you, we can watch over your shoulder if you're working on a file and need help. And then we have 2 great services here, the Secure Courier and File Dispatcher. If you're having difficulty with a file, you can send it to us. If you're having difficulty with your day calendar is just the days of the year, which certainly isn't a secret. We know, that there's 365 days this year and when July 1st was. And then just reporting whether or not your school is open or not, which is probably in a calendar publicly on your website too. If you need help with certain templates, courses, location marking periods, when the students get report cards, again, that's probably not private or highly secret at all. Some things you can exchange with us with an email. If it includes any student information or staff information, identifying someone by name, we want you to use one of these systems so that we can keep the data safe. Both of those systems allow you to drop a file directly on our server, and it provides us with a link. Only if we get that link can we access it, and then we can work with your data. Our file Secure Courier deletes data like every 30 days or sooner. Our file dispatcher, as soon as we download a file from you, deletes it in 10 minutes. So like I said, we're very committed to keeping things safe. Also on our website, this is one of the parts that I certainly use most and give references to. Again, please make us a favor, because if you call us, we're probably going to say, go to our website, hover here and go there. So under resources, we break it out by all sorts of information, and we keep the information here. Templates, we will give you the format to put your data in the correct order and format to get it into level 0 for upload. If you are not yet familiar with Excel, we will give you tons of skills and videos and stuff to help you with that too. We have a live record count listing here. If you look at it now, all you can see is last year's numbers. Once the new school year opens, we'll bring all that live. As you report data, you'll be able to track it. This is particularly helpful. Like we don't care if you have someone who's responsible for staff data, someone else for student data, and you have 2 users in level 0, that's absolutely fine. Again, our services are all free to you. But if you have a charter leader or an executive person who, maybe even a network, they can come here and they can verify counts. So if they're concerned, have we reported any student daily attendance yet? They can look there and just see a count of records. That is no PII, is just showing that data is being reported. And it's very helpful really to all of us. We go there and look for stuff too. There's a system access form. If you do not currently have access for your school or for a new school, for a growing network or whatnot, right here, you fill out a form. We verify your email address. You'll be given you got to get a signature that you're allowed to have access to PII, because all of our systems will show personally identifiable information, and we'll get you going. This is one I thought of it yesterday as I was doing the recording and presentation. SCED code. Jen, you might have to help me here. School class something, I don't know, I can't remember. It's literally the crosswalk. If you are a certified math teacher, you can teach these classes. If you're an English teacher, you teach these classes. So the state just put out a new listing, and I need to load that. That'll probably be there and ready tomorrow. So level 0 will be opening in early October. I don't have a specific date for you yet, but we'll send out an announcement. Actually, we also have a listserv, and I try to minimize the amount of times that I bother you guys. We always put announcements in the C Weekly, but if something's going on with level 0, I will send you that information. That's actually how we announced this particular webinar today. We grabbed everyone who is an authorized level 0 user, and we also grabbed someone who had an open application to make sure that they knew that something new was coming on and were invited to attend. So you can log into level 0 today. You'll still be able to see last year's data and actually the previous year. Once the new school year goes live, you will see the current year and last year. We will help you. We have training videos on all of that too. Here's outline pictures of the links for actually the literal videos on our YouTube channel. If you are new to all of this, you might learn a bunch, I hope you will, from this particular webinar recording regarding CEDRF, how to update CEDRF, how you're going to use some of those systems. Then this particular report, if you're new to L2RPT, this one specifically talks about your out of certification reporting. That's a federal requirement that every state must do. Our state will do this. The first piece of data to be reported are who are the teachers at your school. And then you let us know what are the courses at your school, when do students get final grades, and then you tell us course instructor assignment. And once we know which classes your teachers are teaching, this report will automatically populate the following Monday on the state ed website. And so this is beautiful. The state used to send out one report in June, and you had a couple weeks to make corrections. Nowadays, it's live in the data warehouse. Once you report it, you can review it. And if you found a mistake, like you have a special education teacher teaching geometry, and they're coming up as out of certified, and you realize, oh yeah, I got to make them a resource teacher in that geometry class, or consultant teacher, I think is the title. Once you fix that, then they're going to come off your out of certification list. It's nice that that's live. Anyway, this particular video shows you all my favorite tricks and buttons that you want to be familiar with in the Cognos IBM software, and watch it for a good introduction. When I created this video a year ago, the recommendation was to use Internet Explorer. It works best with that system. Nowadays, of course, that would be Edge. We don't usually recommend, yes.
I just want to mention, I did put a document in the chat for the webinar links.
Great.
And one of the links does include the quick links on our website to access these videos.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we don't, so whenever possible, we try, most of our like we test our website that it works with all different browsers, but we don't control the state. So sorry to laugh at that one, but to be good collaborators, if we know something works best, we're definitely going to let you know so that you can keep yourselves up and running. This particular report, once you report staff snapshot, and I told you I'd save you keystrokes whenever possible, for any school that was open last year, you can go into ReportNet today and you can download your teachers from last year. Ooh, now that I say that, I'm not sure if that's true. Yeah, you could run it for the current school, what looks like the current school year. You're going to choose that 2021 school year, and you can download the exact listing of all your teachers and how you report them in Staff Snapshot. Staff Snapshot includes basic information: who's the teacher, what's their teach ID, what's their salary, how many days a year do they work. It also collects information on your non-teaching professionals, your principal, assistant principal, school counselor, business official, blah, blah, blah. One category would be a nurse, but I believe all charter schools have nurses from the DP, so you don't actually have to report that one. The beauty of getting your staff snapshot in early, as soon as the state has your staff snapshot, they're going to populate 2 reports in L2RPT. One is a verification of the staff snapshot. That actually is the SIRS 320. Student Information System, right? 320 is the name of that report. And then this one, staff certifications, the 329. When you are looking at this one, let's zoom in a little bit, you will see for every teacher at your school what certifications they have or don't have. Here's a teacher that's probably a charter school exemption, right? They're not certified. And the exact date that the certification was earned and when it expires. And again, as soon as you report your staff snapshot, you get this information immediately. Well, the following Monday. Very powerful report. We definitely recommend doing this reporting as soon as possible. New this year, there is a code in staff snapshot for, they changed it, they added a gender for male, female, or non-binary. We have updated our reports to show that. If you go and download, well, actually it might be there. Our programmer was adjusting the directions for the X for non-binary. So you might see that today. If not, it's definitely going to be there shortly. This reference, and this is how we'll send you things, is from 128 of the Student Information Repository Systems Manual version 17.0. Student daily attendance. This is very important again this year. There's some slight changes to how it's being done, but on a state ed call, actually my team and I get on the phone with state ed every Thursday morning at 10 a.m. and I plan on doing it tomorrow, although our agency is closed. I'm definitely getting on that call. I don't want to miss anything. A comment from the state gave me the impression that student daily attendance is as important as last year, that knowing students being in and out of the building is as important as previously. That's all I know right now. So I want to make sure that you are thinking about reporting your attendance. Last year's families got money, or actually they will soon if they haven't received it yet in the city, for pandemic EBT, support, when students were missing, possibly 2 free meals at school each day, families are going to be getting, as far as I know, that money has not been distributed to the charter schools yet, money to help replace the cost that the families incurred. Again, I have the impression that it's as important in the coming year. So watch state ed memos on that one. The attendance reporting is also used for your accountability rating, determining if your school is doing well, overall. It also is used at student daily attendance as how schools report suspension rates. It's very important. The state needs an attendance record. And I saw a question came in about non-binary. I'll come right back to that. An attendance record for every student for every day that they're enrolled when you have instruction. So think about today. If you have 100 kiddos at your school, you need 100 attendance records for today, 1 for every student, whether they're in school or out of school. And there's a slight change to the codes. Student daily attendance is also where suspensions are reported. So if you happen to have a student suspended today, you have to report the suspension, and you also have to report whether or not the student attended an alternate instruction if that was appropriate. So they're suspended and they're either absent, maybe excused or unexcused, or they're present. Present and tardy. Oh, let me go here first. Let me follow the PowerPoint. These 4 software systems communicate with state ed on a regular basis. The state recognizes that these systems have many, many schools in our state and that they want to keep the schools happy. So the state talks to them early and says they've already had a meeting this year, or maybe even 2. You need to do this because your schools need it. I've been on the phone with, I can think of 2 schools who just purchased Power School for the current year, and I'm warning them, take the time to make sure that you set up everything in the software. When you create a biology class, you want to put in a state code that, and we have templates to help you with this, but we have one right on our website because there's no PII in offering a bio class, right? You want to map that to being living environment at your school so that when you need a report for schools, your students being enrolled in classes and your teachers teaching those classes, you'll literally be able to hit a button, get an extract, and load it directly into level 0. When it comes to attendance, you want to make sure that your local codes, say you're a high school or K-12, and you have students going on college visits and it's an excused absence. That's fine. You can have as many as you want. I know of schools who had 55 or more custom codes last year, but each one of those codes has to map to a state code. So that would be an excused absence. They just have that line and have excused absence. For all the work that you did last year, we have exports from ReportNet. We're going to grab the data from last year, report it for 2021 for, your attendance codes, your what's the other one I was just talking about, the courses that you had at your school last year. You can grab that data out and reload it back in. Again, we'll save you thousands, if not millions of keystrokes in a year. I didn't put a particular slide. I want to go back to attendance for 1 more second, and then we'll go to the non-binary question. The state has dropped 2 codes. Originally, the state had required present or tardy, but during the pandemic, they added additional information, and the state wants to continue to collect this. We are going to be required to do it. Not just that they want to, now we have to. So you can't just report a student as present. You're going to report them as present in school or present out. You're going to report them as tardy to school, being in school physically in the building, or out. This attendance code, again, is needed for every student on every day, either excused or present or tardy. And tardy is positive attendance. They just got there late. And then the absences. And then, again, if there's a suspension, you do more with it. The next piece of every attendance record is the modality of instruction. And that also is continuing into the new year. So please consider how you're collecting your attendance data now so that you can transfer that into our software systems. I've worked with schools. We've worked with 267 of them last year to report this data. Some found that their Power School or Infinite Campus eSchool data brought the data out nice and easy. Others were using some systems such as Teacher Ease, Kickboard, Illuminate, and they were able to pull data out, and it saved them a lot of work too. And once the data warehouse opens, we will give you a whole bunch of resources to help you with this reporting also. Okay, so in the chat, will the non-binary Xcode be available for student compliance items as well, or staff items only? Yes, I did not address this kind of specifically because that's an ATS issue. So I don't know if it's currently available in ATS. If you have access to that, you might want to check. If someone knows the answer, please feel free to share that in the chat for us. The state did create it, and it will be there eventually. I can't say when. I'm going to fly back to the top here. When we looked at the stated website, they do show gender here, and the state has said they know, right? So the state's allowing this, New York State, because there's been requests for this for years now. The federal government still only has 2 codes, male, female. So in the state, I love this part. They're like, we're doing it. We're going to report it, and they're not going to have a gender for every student this year, and that's it. So that's pretty cool. Let's see, where are we? Back here. So Regents exams for August have been canceled. We are going to collect the Regents exemption data for any student that you had in summer school this summer who just earned the class, like they might have been in, U.S. history last year. They didn't pass the class. They came to summer school. They passed the class. Now they're eligible for that exemption. And that exemption, we'll collect those as soon as level 0 opens. For many things, we have 2 types of, deadlines. We'll have a target deadline. The target is going to be early October. You might only have 2 weeks to get these exemptions in if you want the data to show in ATS. So remember, ATS in level 0, kind of, that's where data gets into the data warehouse. When we move it up to our level 1 over to the city, and then they move it up to the state, right? It doesn't touch ATS. For Regents exemptions, they want to bring that data down into ATS, because then if a kid transfers to a new school, everyone can see it in ATS. If you report it after that deadline, it'll continue to flow to state ed, but it might not show in ATS. So if you get your data in and watch for that deadline as soon as the software opens, then you'll be able to see the data in ATS. The finish line for this one, you can report Regents exemptions for August of 2021 right through the close of the data warehouse in probably early August of 2022. So we have 11 months still to report that data to make sure that the state education department gets it. I know I had another thought in there. As far as we know, no other exams are canceled yet for this year, but everything else, once you are back to regular examinations and the sheets getting scanned, that data again goes automatically into the city system and will get reported. You won't have to add any more data to level 0 when we get back to normal. The 3 best places to get information. Okay, that's a good question. So I'm gonna go back to the chat, the question on non-binary. Can we hand code a change for a state item submission? So although you can see your students' demographic, who are the students at your school, and you can see their enrollment information in level 0, you can't change it. Even if you could change it, the data doesn't move out. We do not give the city back their demographic or enrollment information. If you see something in level 0 that surprises you about a student and needs to be corrected, you do need to go back to the ATS system and correct it there. So you can certainly keep that data at your school because you're going to want to be respectful of everyone and use the correct pronouns and whatnot, but I have no way of helping you to get that information to the state. That is an ATS issue. And I do expect that it will happen. Okay, the best way to find out about what's going on, again, if your name is listed in CEDREP as the data coordinator or an additional contact, then you will get emails directly from the state education department. If your charter leader is sending you memos, you've got to read them. I'm kind of a geek, okay? I guess I just am. But when it comes to these memos, I tend to I read them line for line and word for word, and I look for the Cracker Jack surprise. There's always something that surprises me. So read them. I will read them and I'll give you in our announcements. I'm definitely going to give you highlights and I'll probably point to something for you, but they really are very informative. Keep your eye on those. Watch our website and we will send out some emails also. We send our emails directly to, every week we have something on the C Weekly, and our emails are just to level 0 users. So if your principal doesn't have access to it, you might be getting some nudges from us about what you need to do or whatnot, and you might need to share, consider if you need to share that with somebody else. Please, again, make our website a favorite and keep an eye on it because we'll keep information there to, get to you, right away. And then that's C Weekly. And if you need to sign up for that, use the link on our website. We have a quick list here of, this is a title of all the different templates that we collect in level 0. And we are kind of give you an ideas about when the data is required. Staff snapshot and assignment. So if you are the director of ops, you should have a staff snapshot and you should have an assignment as director of ops. The state uses that information to calculate what is the cost of operating your school because you're in staff snapshot with a salary. They know that you work there full-time or part-time, and then they can do all their calculations. That information should just be reported in the fall. It can be reported right until that finish line. Your staff snapshot, you really want that in for your teachers as soon as possible because you want to finish that other reporting and be able to see the CSRS 329 so you know who's certified. Staff attendance can only be reported once a teacher is done teaching for the year and you know how many times they're absent. Someone had perfect attendance, there's nothing to report. If someone had 3 absences and they left you in January, then in January you can show that they had 3 total absences. Otherwise you have to wait to the end of the year. Program facts, we are going to help you report information about your L students And we're going to nudge you on that one in the fall and to keep up on it throughout the year. But next summer, we're going to bug you to make sure it's correct and done. I say bug you, but it's really a reminder. And I ask you to forgive me if you get a few too many of those, but we want to make sure that everyone knows what deadlines are coming up. Very important point. We don't judge your data. I don't even know if a staff snapshot is right. Actually, if you have a typo in the Teach ID, who knows? Someone's Teach ID might be one digit off of my own, and suddenly you see me in your building. I'm like, what? You need to correct that Teach ID. Call us for help to do that specifically, but we're just going to look at counts. I wouldn't even know if I'm listed in any school across the state. It's all PII that's protected, and we never look at anything unless you're saying, hey, come look at this. I need your help on this record. We do counter data. If we see that you have a low number in a particular category and we know there's a deadline coming up, we'll nudge you and say, hey, do you need help? Call us. This deadline's coming up. Day calendar, student daily attendance, and those codes, we will pre-populate the state required codes, but you need to add your own custom. We definitely want to start doing that in the fall. Did I say this part? If you have 100 students, let's make it 1,000. You're a big school, you got 1,000 kiddos. There's 180 days of school. You at the end in July next year, you're going to be expected. I'm going to expect, and I may say, hey, I'm not sure if you have all your attendance done yet, that you're going to have about 180,000 records. So if I see 100,000 or 80,000, you're probably going to get email. Please check. I think you're missing some of the student attendance records. Course information, location, marking period. You know what courses you're teaching. Maybe you'll add one later in the year, but you can report it early and add that one later. When do kids get their report cards? Your assessments, as far as we know, you only need to report the August exemptions. So that part you can give it at any time. We definitely are recommending that you do your course instructor assignment and student class entry exit, which students are in which classes. That data is used publicly on the state website regarding class size information. Actually, that reminds me, the staff assignment. There are other titles that are listed publicly on the state report card. Not only counts of teachers, but they will list how many school counselors and how many social workers you have at your school. Those are good supports to show that you are supporting and promoting a good climate at your school. I believe they also report assistant principals, a count of assistant principals, and that's where that data is collected. On the state report card, if you're looking through it, you might see an asterisk that says no data was reported for this category. We want, again, that's why we send you nudges. We don't want that to happen to you. The class grade detail, this is one that, can't be done until class ends. So if you have a half year PIG or economics, health classes and whatnot, you can report those in the middle of the year, or if you have trimesters. As soon as a kid earns a credit in a class, that's when you need to report the information. Watch our future videos, 10 more of these. You don't have to report absolutely every single class. If something is not on a report card, is not for credit, then you don't have to worry about reporting whether or not a kid passed or failed. That you might, it's only if it's on the report card and is earning credit to graduation. I'm almost done. Again, here's a view. This is what the dropdown looks like in level 0. And these are the various different templates that we'll help you with. For virtually every template, you will have 4 different supports from us. Again, we send out reminders. We'll give you how-to directions. That's usually listed in the resource section of our website. You'll see pictures, do this, tap here, and we'll number it, so you can go through the steps nice and easy. We'll have YouTube videos. And then for templates, there are many of them that are, again, if there's no PII, your day calendar, your courses, a blank course if you're a brand new school, that's available right on our website. When it comes to PII, like bringing back teachers from last year, that's in our ReportNet system where you have to, have an account, have authorization to have an account and log in and maintain resetting passwords and whatnot. I know I got a couple questions as we went along. I see a new one there, a couple more maybe we'll talk about in a second. When I'm looking at this, one major change to level 0 this year. They're increasing the security requirements for verifying accounts. You will find, I believe we're going to set it at every 4 weeks. So probably start around November, where you're going to log into level 0 one day and you're going to have to verify your email. Before you can see any data, you're going to get a code. You're going to have to tap in the code and confirm that you are still a valid level 0 user. 4 weeks later, it's going to happen again the next time you log in. Your password has to be reset. I think right now it's only every 6 months. And that's actually nice because this other little task in between means you don't have to learn a new email password too often. I'm just going to show you one last screen, a message from our sponsors, our leadership and Board of Education. This is the phone number for our group. In our contract, it says we'll get back to you within 4 business hours, and we work very hard to make sure we always do that. Oh, the best way to reach us, I can show you a live view of our website. The phone number is on every page. And right here, this is actually a hyperlink to send us an email. Although you'll have, when I send out stuff, you're going to have my own personal email, and Jen and Bonnie might write to you also. But please use this ticketing system. If I'm in an all-day conference or just a meeting and I can't get to your question, someone else can grab it as long as you send it to the ticketing system. So please use that email. Okay. Will we be required to complete the out of certification reporting submission by May again, similar to last year? Yes. Jen, do you happen to have that date in front of you? Yes, I almost think it moved to the end. Oh, actually, let me look at it's right here on our website. Let me open this up, flip through. That's the memo part. Here is the timeline. Let's see. We're looking for course instructor assignment, April 30th. So it's just a little bit earlier than last year.
I'm glad you showed that because I did not know the date.
Yeah, okay, good, thank you. I won't forget it. Yeah, you won't either now. Yeah, so that it is due slightly earlier. Last year it was due on the 14th, and the state had to extend that because there's difficulty with, what? This is interesting. Those software systems had difficulty with managing some information, I believe it happened around there, and the state extended that deadline. So it's not often that deadlines are extended. The end of year deadline is very specific. Down here, the state is closing the data warehouse. Let's see, where is that? On the 19th of August. And I can tell you that ours has to close earlier because we need to get all the data to the city. The city needs to get the data to the state. Last year, the deadline was, I think it was Friday the 22nd this past year. And our data warehouse, it was the 20th this past year. Our data warehouse closed on the 3rd of August. So yes, whenever the state has, when the data warehouses, when Eastern Suffolk BOCES in New York City and all the other data warehouses across the state, when we have to have it to the state, your deadline could be a couple days, or in the case of the end of the year, a couple of weeks early. So please watch those.
Yeah, that's a good point, Tracy, because that April 30th date is actually, we're going to back off some days on that when we start communicating it to the schools.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct.
Right. Yeah, by early March, we're going to be saying, hey, time is running out. And on this document here is where we definitely tell you when there's an earlier deadline, the target date. We will let you know when there's a target date on something. There's actually the second item here. So like you'll get a BEDSA email. The state usually does a webinar. I hope we get an announcement on that soon. Here's an example of a report that you have to give directly to the state, the institutional master file. Someone at your school has probably already received some information on that. This project opens on BEDS Day, so that'll be October 6th, and it runs through, if I go back a little bit here, we'll see what the deadline is to the state. IMF, that doesn't have a deadline. I believe it's early, it's sometime in November. Let me just put it that way. I think it's the end of November. They need that data specifically to that format. One important piece, actually, this is a difference, and it is noted in our parts when they talk, our different information. It would be on the next page here. Oh, FERPL data. The institutional master file is the official source of FERPL data. Free and reduced price lunch is the institutional master file. For other schools across the state, there is a particular record in level 0, right? But of course, as New York City, you don't have that, you use ATS and whatnot, but please note that that is the official source. Even when you're in L2RPT and you can see data about which students are free and reduced price lunch, the number that you put in your IMF will be the official source for that data. Just one caveat, and we'll point these things out to you when something like, that detail is not on the state's deadlines form back here. That's why we make annotated notes. And I'm sorry that's not ready yet, but it'll be out soon. If something's not required for your school, or when it's, supported by us, that's when it's blue. There are some things that are optional and some that are just not applicable. Like there's no tenure reporting for charter schools in New York City because there is no tenure, at least as far as I still know. Some green things are reference information. It's not a requirement. It's just at this time of year around October, you want to be thinking about your Beds Day folder and what information is out there, because you'll need to go into ATS to update it. That's all I had to say, and I know it was a lot. I can certainly talk. Thank you for joining us. If you have any more questions, we'll certainly be glad to stay on. Jen and I are here for you. I'm going to stop the recording of this though.